Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m., heart racing with the feeling that you're falling behind, even though you just finished a 12-hour workday? We are living in an era where leisure is treated as a sin. We worship progress to an extreme, inadvertently turning our lives into a series of never-ending KPIs. There is a harsh reality quietly unfolding. The harder we try to master time, the tighter time tightens its grip around our throats. The real problem doesn't lie in the workload itself, but in how we perceive our own value. We are infected by a cognitive virus called purpose obsession. Every action you take now must yield some functional value. Going for a walk? It has to be about hitting 10,000 steps. Reading a book? It must be to gain knowledge for work. Even spending time with loved ones is weighed and measured to see if it's productive. From my perspective, we have unwittingly weaponized time, turning it into a ruthless yardstick for success rather than a medium for enjoying life. When you can no longer do something simply because you like it, you have personally signed a warrant stripping away your most basic human freedom. I believe this is too high a price to pay. We are borrowing peace from the future to pay off a greedy present. Yet that debt seems impossible to ever settle. The consequences of this go beyond mere mental fatigue. When you constantly feel like you must be doing something, your nervous system becomes locked in a state of red alert. You are perpetually in fight or flight mode, as if a ghost is chasing you even while you're sitting on your sofa. This is exactly why your creativity suddenly vanishes. In my estimation, an anxious brain is a brain closed off to breakthroughs. Leisure is actually the nutrition for creative thinking, yet we are trying to grow trees on barren land because we fear that resting is a waste of resources. The truth is, we aren't just physically exhausted, we are experiencing a collapse of faith. When you realize that no matter how hard you work, peace of mind remains a luxury, you begin to doubt everything. You wonder if you're truly moving forward or just running frantically on a hamster wheel. Because there is an even harder truth hidden behind it. Often, the busyness you are enduring isn't creating any real value at all. It is nothing more than a performance. To be honest, how many times have you deliberately replied to an email immediately just to prove you're online? How many meetings have you attended just to show your face and nod while your mind was miles away? We are living in an era where, because actual work results can feel invisible, we feel forced to cling to busyness just to reassure ourselves and our superiors. I call this pseudo-productivity. From my perspective, we are wasting our most precious cognitive energy on performing rather than actually creating. It's a tragic misallocation of intellectual assets. We aren't exhausting ourselves to climb a mountain. We are exhausting ourselves moving pebbles at the foot of the mountain just to look like we're working. The biggest mistake I see in modern organizations is equating motion with progress. You can run incredibly fast on a treadmill, but at the end of the day, you haven't moved an inch. This fake busyness acts like a fog. It makes you feel like you're doing so much, but when you look back at sunset, you can't point to a single meaningful achievement. In my estimation, when we don't see real results, we try even harder to be busy to compensate for the guilt. You work through the night, you skip dinners with your family, all just to maintain this fragile shell of productivity that is slowly crumbling. It's a cycle that rewards the appearance of work over the substance of it. During this constant, frantic motion, we are paying an extremely high price, the cognitive task-switching tax. Every time you are distracted by a trivial notification or a shallow task, you are stealing from yourself the opportunity to produce something extraordinary. Our brains aren't light switches. They don't just flip into deep thought instantly. I believe that every interruption is a moment where we drop a vital piece of the puzzle of deep thinking. We have traded our ability to focus for the dopamine hit of a cleared inbox. But at what cost? We are becoming shallow thinkers in a world that desperately needs depth, all because we fear the silence of not being busy.
Why have we accepted this role for so long? Why do we fear not looking busy to the point of sacrificing our health and happiness? I've noticed that this fear often stems from a lack of trust, both in ourselves and in the systems we serve. If we aren't doing, we feel we aren't being valuable. There is a profound sadness in realizing that we've optimized our lives for efficiency, but forgotten about effectiveness. We've become experts at doing things right, but we've stopped asking if we are doing the right things. From where I stand, this is the ultimate trap of the modern professional.
The performance of busyness is not just a personal struggle. It is a systemic failure. We are incentivized to stay active rather than stay impactful. This creates a culture of burnout theater, where everyone is exhausted, but the needle of true progress barely moves. It's an unsustainable charade that we've all been forced to join. But as I watch this play out, I realize this performance is actually a symptom of a much deeper fracture. It's a crack in the foundation of trust between the individual and the institution. In the next part, we need to look at why the American dream of hard work has started to feel like a broken promise, and why the solutions being offered are nothing more than a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. If the performance of busyness is a theater, then why do we keep the curtains open? The answer lies in a deep, jagged rift between those who lead and those who actually build. I call this the perceptual gap, a place where promises of understanding are nothing more than hollow echoes in a boardroom. Have you ever seen your company host a mental health seminar or gift you a meditation app subscription, while your inbox is simultaneously exploding with impossible deadlines on a Saturday night? From my perspective, this is the true face of modern management. It's an insult to our intelligence to offer a yoga class when what we actually need is a manageable workload. They are trying to use colorful Band-Aids to cover a wound that is festering deep inside the organization. Most of us can feel the insincerity. We know these perks aren't designed to make us happier. They are designed to keep us functional just long enough to return to the grind. When empathy is turned into a marketing commodity, trust is the first thing to evaporate. There is a heartbreaking truth unfolding. Extreme hard work is no longer a guaranteed ticket to a stable future. In my estimation, when the cost of living skyrockets and pressure mounts, we realize that pouring our life force into a system that doesn't truly care back is a losing investment. The dream has started to feel like a trap. The result? The rise of intentional apathy. It's not that we are lazy, it's that we are protesting. When you realize that no matter how much you sacrifice, peace of mind remains a luxury you can't afford, you start to withdraw. We do just enough to not get fired, saving what's left of our souls for a life that actually belongs to us. I believe this shift is a survival mechanism. We are reclaiming our energy from a system that views us as resources rather than humans. Why should we offer our best ideas to a machine that would replace us in a heartbeat? This collapse of loyalty is a direct response to a collapse of corporate integrity. No matter how much they try to pinkwash the productivity reports, the actual numbers on burnout tell a different story. I see a massive percentage of young people entering the workforce already exhausted at the starting line. They crave to contribute, but the system only knows how to extract. This fracture isn't just about one person or one company. It's the total bankruptcy of the old belief that the busier you are, the more valuable you are. From where I stand, We are at a crossroads where the old methods have completely failed, yet the new path remains hidden in the fog of our collective anxiety.
I've noticed that leaders are often the last to realize the fire is burning. They look at metrics and charts, while the people behind those charts are quietly burning out. This disconnect is the ultimate risk for any organization in 2026. You cannot build a future on the backs of people who have lost their why. We've spent the last 3 chapters walking through the maze of anxiety, fake performances, and broken trust. But the most important question remains: where is the exit? How do we take back control of our lives without giving up our ambitions? In the final part, I believe we must look toward a revolution that doesn't ask us to be faster, but asks us to be smarter about being slow.
If you're waiting for a new time management app or a checklist of 10 things to do before 5 a.m., I'm going to have to disappoint you. Those tools are actually part of the very system that has been draining us dry. From my perspective, the true exit isn't about running faster. It's about having the courage to slow down. Welcome to the era of slow productivity. This isn't about being lazy. It's about a fundamental shift where the quality of your presence becomes more important than the quantity of your tasks. I believe we are entering a time where doing less is actually the most radical and effective thing you can do for your career.
The first step is to stop managing your time and start managing your energy. Time is a fixed resource, but your energy is a fluctuating, living thing. The biggest mistake we make is trying to shove deep, creative work into hours when our cognitive fuel tank is already empty. It's like trying to drive a car on fumes and wondering why we aren't reaching the destination. Biological science has given us a harsh but liberating limit. An elite knowledge worker only has about 4 hours of peak cognitive output per day. In my estimation, every effort to force yourself to work beyond that limit usually just creates more pseudo-productivity. Instead of trying to own every minute, we must learn to protect those 4 sacred hours. I've realized that in an overloaded world, the ability to say no is actually a superpower. We are paying an overhead tax to useless meetings and endless email chains that consume nearly half of our day. Slow productivity requires you to be ruthless with your selection. Choose fewer things, but do them with an obsession for quality. Don't fear not being busy enough. From where I stand, you should fear being busy your entire life, but leaving nothing of real value behind. When you stop trying to do everything, you finally have the breathing room to do one thing exceptionally well. That is where true legacy is built. In the depth, not the breadth. We must also rethink our relationship with technology. Let AI be the butler that frees you from the mundane. Push all those low-energy, repetitive maintenance tasks onto the machines. Your job isn't to be a faster data processor. Your job is to keep your mind quiet enough to make wise decisions and create things that no algorithm ever could. This shift starts the very moment you decide to put your phone down. Take a deep breath and admit that your value is not tied to your level of exhaustion. I evaluate that the true success of 2026 isn't a packed schedule. It's a free mind. You don't owe this world your constant busyness. You owe yourself a life worth living. We've walked through the anxiety, the fake performances, and the broken trust to arrive here. It takes a certain kind of bravery to look at a hyperspeed world and say, I will not participate in the race to the bottom. I believe that by protecting your energy, you aren't just saving yourself. You are setting a new standard for everyone around you. So let's start over. But this time, let's go slow. Take back your focus, reclaim your creative soul, and remember that the most productive version of you is the one that is actually sane,
rested, and present. The revolution doesn't start with a roar. It starts with a quiet, intentional choice to step off the hamster wheel.